Welcome to another episode of Shadows of the Tarot. Marcus was a towering figure with a well-defined physique. He had a broad chest, powerful arms, and a solid core. His skin was tanned from spending time outdoors, and his eyes, a warm brown, convey kindness and empathy, which contrasts with his tough exterior. He usually dressed in casual, athletic wear, favoring comfort and practicality. He grew up in a rough environment, which taught him resilience and strength. At school, he was known as the tough guy with a big heart. He exuded a magnetic presence, confident and assertive, but also incredibly approachable. He was the kind of person who would lend a hand to a stranger in need or support a friend through tough times. Marcus had a strong sense of integrity and was fiercely loyal to those he cared about. He had met Tyrone through rugby practice at school, and they had remained friends ever since. Tyrone had a rugged, street-smart appearance shaped by his challenging past. His clothing was typically practical and functional, including hoodies, jeans, and sneakers. Marcus had remained at school and gone on to college to do a certificate in sports and recreation, while Tyrone had taken a different path and had left school early and got involved in gangs. Tyrone was wary of others and kept his emotions close to his chest. Beneath his hardened exterior, however, was a sharp mind and a strong sense of loyalty to his friends and gang members. He was resourceful and street-smart, often using his wits to navigate dangerous situations. Tyrone had a deep-seated sense of justice and a desire to protect those he cared about, even if it meant bending the rules. Despite their differences, they had remained friends for all these years. When Marcus completed his certificate, he obtained a job at a 24-hour fitness center, and because of his physique, bodybuilding was now his passion. His circuit classes had gained popularity. He often mentored younger or less experienced bodybuilders, offering guidance and motivation. Marcus dedicated a lot of time to working out and perfecting his physique. He enjoyed pushing his limits and helping others achieve their fitness goals. He started to become competitive with his bodybuilding and had entered some competitions. He loved it. He loved the attention of being on stage, posing, and the audience clapping and cheering. But he wasn't getting as much attention as other bodybuilders. He wasn't the best he could be. Marcus hadn't seen Tyrone for a few months now. They decided to meet up for a few drinks. Before this, Marcus had been given one of Elise's business cards by a lady who had visited the gym. She had explained how accurate Elise had been with her reading and urged Marcus to give her a call. Marcus made his appointment with Elise. He was intrigued. He had never had a reading before. Elise made him feel welcome, offering him herbal tea before the reading. He shuffled the cards, and Elise did a reading for him. Then she asked him to shuffle the cards from her antique deck, and the card he chose was Strength. Elise explained to him what the card meant. It was the root of uniqueness and stood for tenacity and strength. You are capable of conquering any challenge within a strength and confidence. You're determined to complete the tasks at hand. Your power gives you the courage to face and conquer escalating anxieties, obstacles, or doubts. Marcus was happy with the reading. He took a picture of the card with his phone to place on social media, and thanked Elise for her time, saying he would tell others. Marcus told Tyrone how he had just missed out on the top 3 for a title in the bodybuilding championship. Tyrone looked at him and said, "The thing is, you want to try and do everything just through lifting your weights and diet, basically killing yourself to look the way you do. But let me tell you, all the rest of those guys are taking stuff to enhance their bodies. That's the only way they're getting through." Marcus told Tyrone he must be wrong because they did drug tests before they entered comps. Tyrone laughed and said, "No, man, there are ways to get around that. They all do it. They have ways to cheat the drug tests." Marcus found himself hanging on every word Tyrone said, as Tyrone explained how they beat the tests. "But that stuff's expensive, man. I wouldn't be able to afford it anyway." I already spend nearly all my money on protein powders and everything. I know you, said Tyrone. Think about it. You wouldn't need as much of that shit. All you need is some roids. I still wouldn't be able to afford it. Don't you worry about that, said Tyrone. You, my man, are in the ideal position to be a distributor. Do you mean I should sell the shit? Yeah, nah. It's easier than you think. I already have customers needing somewhere to pick up from, and all they need to do is change to your gym instead. Easy peasy, helps me help you. Problem solved. You, my man, will be the next bodybuilding champion of the state. Marcus was still hesitant, but Tyrone kept going on and on about how easy it would be. So, Marcus thought he would give it a try. Before too long, Marcus started to see a difference in his body. His boss at work was very pleased as gym memberships were up. He thought it was due to Marcus's personality and charm, his ability to get people to take out new memberships. But Marcus didn't like how the drugs were affecting his behavior. He had become extremely obsessed with his body and was less tolerant of people. His next bodybuilding competition was coming up. He had done all the preparations to pass the drug test and had pumped up before his competition. Marcus met Jess, one of the female bodybuilders, and she would help oil him up before he went on stage. This time he passed his drug screening and was chosen for the finals. He and Jess started to see each other more often and had begun training together, but the more of the roids he took, the less tolerant of Jess he was. One night they had an argument over some stupid thing, like whether the heater should be on or off, and he had pushed Jess and sent her flying. He apologized. Jess asked what the fuck was wrong with him lately. He was so angry all the time. I don't know if I can be with you, she said. He apologized again and said it was probably the tablets he'd been taking. She couldn't believe it. She didn't understand how Marcus could stoop so low as to be taking drugs to enhance his body. Jess had a long talk with Marcus and told him he was an idiot for taking roids and that there were many other better ways to build muscle. She told him about the muscle building regime that she used. It was new, natural, and had been working for her. She also told Marcus that if the roids were causing such extreme mood swings where he got so angry, it wasn't worth taking them, and she wasn't going to stick around if he didn't stop. Marcus hadn't liked the way they had been making him react anyway. He promised Jess he would stop taking them. Because the memberships had grown so much at the gym, Marcus had been offered a managerial position. He knew that they did random drug tests, and he didn't want to get caught out as he'd lose his job. The only thing to do now was to explain to Tyrone that he didn't want to take the roids anymore. He talked to him over the phone and tried to explain the situation. Tyrone was not impressed and said he would rather speak in person. Because Marcus worked at a 24-hour gym, sometimes he was allocated to the night shift, so he told Tyrone to visit him in the quiet hours at the gym. Meanwhile, Tyrone was wondering how he would make ends meet without Marcus's money because, in addition to stating that he would no longer be using the roids himself, Marcus had also said that he no longer intended to sell them. It was a big dilemma for Tyrone. He would be losing a big chunk of his business, so he desperately wanted to try and talk Marcus out of it. When Tyrone got to the gym, Marcus was doing some training, so Tyrone followed him around the equipment, trying to talk Marcus around. Marcus explained to Tyrone that the drugs made him angry, he didn't like the way the roids made him feel at all, and he was fearful that he would lose his job if he kept it up. Marcus loaded his weights onto the barbell for the bench press and got into position, and he asked Tyrone if he could spot him. Tyrone wasn't much of a lifter, but he said he'd give it a go. But while they were talking, Marcus had become adamant that he didn't want anything more to do with the drugs. Tyrone was taking some of the weight of the barbell and was mucking around, saying, "You sure about that? You sure about that?" Tyrone had only intended to mess with Marcus. He hadn't intentionally done what was to follow. He became extremely hot, and the palms of his hands exuded sweat. He lost his grip on the barbell just as Marcus had become fatigued and the barbell had dropped straight down onto Marcus' neck. Tyrone tried to lift it from behind but couldn't get a grip. He stumbled and fell in his attempt to wipe his hands on his jeans and go to the front to lift it off. By the time he had managed to get there, Marcus had stopped breathing. Tyrone pushed with all his might to get the barbell off Marcus. Then his adrenaline kicked in, and he eventually managed to get the barbell off, but Marcus still wasn't breathing. Tyrone frantically tried CPR, but to no avail. He didn't know what he was doing. He called for an ambulance, and they stayed on the line trying to tell him what to do. He tried with all his might, but by the time the ambulance arrived, Marcus was already dead, and Tyrone was devastated. Remember to like, subscribe, and share to others, so you don't miss an episode.